Hey there. Guys, I'm going to give it just a few minutes. All right, guys, I'm going to give it 1 minute because I feel like we're going to have some late ones coming in. Can everybody hear me? If you guys can join by video, that would be lovely. One of our requirements in going forward is going to be, I'm going to make you all be on videos for these Zooms.
Give me 2 minutes to put a decent outfit on.
Oh, you don't need to change. You can't live in my desk. I'm like trying to clean out drawers and stuff to get ready to move the Austin office, and my office looks like a bomb. I mean, my office always looks like a bomb, but it's worse right now. People are still jumping on. Give another minute. Did anybody do anything fun over the holidays while we're waiting? Chat. Yay, Keisha. Nobody did anything fun over the holidays? I don't believe that. Somebody had to.
Does family time count as fun?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. That and just trying to deal with my cedar fever. That's about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been tough. I did some family fun, and then we had the hardest holidays ever in my family, so it was not good. But I did a party on Monday for all my neighbors to meet my neighbors, and they all came. It was crazy. So, but it was good. I'm glad I did it. I didn't want to do it, but I made myself.
That's exciting. So people showed up.
Everybody, I bet we had 50 people come through.
That's legit.
Yep. Every neighbor, like what I've learned. So I invited some of my past clients, like my favorite past clients. And they all, like 4 or 5 had said they'd come. And then the day of, they were like, we've been putting away Christmas all day. We're too tired, or we don't feel good, or like they just didn't want to leave their house. And I don't blame them. And then, but all the neighbors came and they're like, yeah, it was so nice just to get out of the house and we just had to walk next door or walk across the street. And so I realized, like, if you're going to make anybody do anything on the 1st of January, you better be right next door. They're like, we almost didn't even get out of our pajamas. I'm like, I don't care. You could have come in pajamas. But it was a great way to meet the neighbors and they loved it and loved that we did it. So it was fun. And I did black eyed pea hummus because I know black eyed peas is a thing, which it wasn't a thing in California growing up, but So I did hummus, which was okay. I mean, I don't know. I love hummus, and it wasn't quite as good as normal hummus, but at least we could eat the black eyed peas. And I've never done that before, so that was cool. Anybody else do anything cool? McKenna and I also on New Year's Eve we did our vision boards for the year, so that was fun. We do that every year. I found I had a memory from 2000. Oh my gosh, it's choking. From when she was 9, we did she used to do sleepover or summer parties at our house on New Year's Eve, and all the girls would do vision boards. So I found a picture from that one. That was so cool. All right, let's get started. So basically today's just answer any questions and get commitments from everyone who wants to do it. But what we're going to do starting Monday is a check-in, and it's going to be quick. It's going to be hopefully 30 minutes or less, depending on how many there are of us, but I expect it to be about 30 minutes where we're reporting in, and there's going to be no excuses allowed. And so let's go over what we're reporting. If you're totally lost in what I'm about to cover, the recorded version of all of this is from the December's company meeting, which was our vision board business planning session. I did a deeper dive into this. It still wasn't a deep enough dive. I was really fat. Basically, under the portal, you guys can see my screen, right? Portal. Okay. So under business basics folder is the 2024 BP business plan 12 weeks. So that's what you're working off of. The weekly stat that you're going to turn in is from that. Then there's an example. And so let's look at the example real quick. There are 3 pages to it. The first page is basically taking your 3 goals for the next 12 weeks. And sorry, Tracy is making sure she's selling stuff for me. Okay. Trying to get rid of, if you all need furniture, come get some out of the Austin office. Okay. Anyways, so 3 goals. So for the next 12 weeks, which the date you're gonna put your name up here. This is just my example in red, but these are the weeks we're working off of from the 1st through the 22nd of March. Your first goal will be based on how many closings you want to do for the 12 months. You divide that by 4, and that's your first 4-week period, 3-month period. So in this example, I said that Fred Smith wanted to close 12 contracts for the year. So he's got to execute, or not close. I would say execute. Don't make closings a goal. Make execution of contracts a goal, because you make execute contracts that run into next year, new construction, all that. So we're going to execute 3 contracts in this first 12-week period. That is the one business goal that we're working off as when you report in. But then, according to the book, you should do 2 other goals. And so for Fred's example, his personal goals are losing weight and paying off debt. Okay. So under the executing 3 contracts below, you need 3 tactics to achieve that goal, 3 pillars that I want you to focus on in the next 12 weeks. Now, once these 3 pillars are running smoothly, the following 12 weeks, you may add another pillar. But I only want you to focus on 3. You could have additional pillars, but your main focus should only be on 3. Any more than 3, the rules say we don't do a good job at. So for Fred's 3 pillars, it's going to be database, social media, focusing on Instagram, and open houses. So then on the next page, you're going to create a task sheet for every tactic. So his goal was 3 contracts. 1 tactic is database. And he lists what are the tasks he's got to do and how often is he going to do them for the database. Then below that, he has open houses. And what is he going to do for his open houses and how often? And below that, we have social media. What is he going to do and how often? Does everybody get that part so far? Are we all on the same page? Has everybody done this yet, or has anyone done this? No, yes, I get a little bit of both. Okay.
No, I haven't done it. I do have a question. For the 3 goals where you have 3 executed contracts. I remember there's a formula to do it, how to find that number if you're going off of, hey, I want to make 100,000 or 50,000 this year. Can you?
Yep. So in the portal under business basics, I think it's this one. This is our business plan workbook that we did last year. And
I knew it was somewhere. I just
yeah, it's right here.
can't
So business
remember where.
plan summary.
Okay.
So, oh, I didn't, the date's not changed on this, but it
That's
would be
okay.
2024. So if your income goal is to make 100,000, your average sales price, your average commission, a year ago, I told you to use 2.3%. I would probably use 2% to be safe. And then you work through it, and this is going to help you do that.
Thanks.
Good question. Okay, so we're going to come up with our task for each of our goal or each of our tactics for the goal. And then what we're doing is we're tracking. Now, again, on this tracker, you've got your other goals here of what you're wanting to accomplish. And if you want to report in those goals, you're welcome to. But what we're going to be looking at is on like Sunday night, you're going to write down what are the tasks that you need to achieve for the week based on what's weekly here, or maybe the once during the 12 weeks I'm doing those things, whatever it is when I'm doing them. Hopefully you're plugging them on your calendar as to when you're going to do them. Like, when are you doing your open houses? When am I previewing for my open houses? When am I doing mega open houses versus normal open houses, right? I'm putting all that on my calendar for the next 12 weeks. So that on Sunday night, I'm putting on here all the tasks that I'm doing that week that correspond to that week's calendar and those goals. But then at the end of the week, you're going to total up how many tasks did you have to do. And in this example, I have 20 tasks that I'm supposed to accomplish. Total to accomplish here would be 20. Oh, I don't have it editable. All right, 20. How many did I accomplish? And then I'm going to divide my actual by the how many I could have, the actual by the accomplished, so I get a percentage. Does that make sense? Let me download this so I can actually. Let me download this. And you don't ever want to mess with it on the online version because it doesn't work very well. Okay, can you guys see my tracker? So let's say I had 20 tasks here. So my total number I wanted to accomplish was 20. That's the most I could get. And I accomplished 18. So I'm going to take 18 and divide it by 20. Get a 90% success rate, which is what the book wants us to. Does that make sense? And I would say 90%. So then the following Monday, so on Sunday night, I would look at what was my success completion for the week before, get that number to report in on Monday. And then I'm also planning out what I'm doing that next week. So I have my tasks ready to go. So when we meet on Monday, you can say I got a 90% or a 70% or a 50% or whatever. And then these are the tasks I'm doing this week. Does that make sense? Now, here's the thing that I've learned in my hesitation in doing this is that, like, a good example is on, I'm going to stop sharing so I can actually look at you all. A good example, there we go. A good example of this is in the points that I make you guys bring to me for roundtable, right? I feel like people, some of the agents, not all, but some of them just pull out a number out of thin air and they make stuff. And it's only hurting you if you don't actually track the tasks and the points and come up with a percentage. The reason we want to come up with a percentage is so that we can easily identify, am I on track or am I not on track? And if I'm not on track, what do I need to adjust to get on track? Or do I need to change the track altogether, right? Like, we can't have these honest conversations with ourselves unless we hold ourselves accountable. And these weekly meetings are to help you hold you accountable. Like, that's the whole goal of it. So it won't hurt me if you guys show up lying. I think it's a waste of time and not smart, but I just want you to realize it's gonna be really easy to show up unprepared and lie, but it's not doing anybody any good, right? So think about that, prepare for that. You know, I think it's going to be good. The idea of the weekly check-in is just to report in and to make sure you have your tasks lined up for the rest of the week. And then we'll share wins and successes so that we're all feeding from one another and you know, figuring out what's working, what's successful, how are we getting things under contract, what activities are paying off. And hopefully you'll hear good ideas that I may not want you to start right away. You may be like, oh, that's a great pillar I'm going to add, but I'm not going to add it to my next 12 weeks because I'm really focused on this 12 weeks and only these 3 tactics and getting really good at these 3 things. Does that make sense? What other questions do you guys have? Harvey, I know you came in at the end, so if you need, or came in a little late, so if you need a recap, you can hang out and I'll help you. Aletha's just joining us and we're done now, so I'll keep her on too. Any questions on any of that? Who wasn't at the company thing in December, so they don't even know what the heck I just showed you?
Oh, I wasn't there, but I reviewed it all.
You're good. Okay. Iris, are you lost? A little?
Sorry, a little, yeah.
I'm a little lost too. The scorecard part. So each task is one.
Let me go back and pull it back up. So
If you can, I just want to make sure because you said total number to accomplish. So is that meaning you had 20 tasks that you had written down?
correct.
Okay.
So let me go back to that example. That was just that example I used right here.
Yeah.
There
So
were 20 listed here.
that task doesn't matter if it's a daily, weekly, or a monthly.
So it's for that week, this week
Okay.
of whatever, this is what I've got to get done for these 3 tasks.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Got
So like if you go back to your task sheet, you're going to have things you do every day. You're going to have things you do weekly and things you do, you know, sporadically. The dailies, I'm counting those on my weekly tracker as I did them every day, but it's up to you how you want to do that. So you can give yourself 5 points for doing them all 5 days,
Okay.
or you can do an all or none. And like, I either did it all 5 days or I don't get the point. Like, I don't care how you track that. It's up to you.
Okay.
It's just your task list will get longer, I think, but if you need all the help you can get to get it all going, then that's totally fine. You know, I created this worksheet to work off of, but you can make your own version. I just want the percentage reported in on Monday as to how many of the intentional tasks were you supposed to do compared to did you do. Does that make sense? Keep looking at you guys over here because you're on the other screen, but you're here. So it doesn't matter to me how many tasks you have. The things I care about is, one, do we have a goal? And your goal should be how many contracts we execute in the next 12 weeks. You can do 2 other goals. Do you guys mind? Hold on real quick. Someone keeps calling me and I want to make sure everything's okay. All right. My husband was panicking that my daughter wasn't answering the phone, but okay. I don't know where I was. Okay, what do I care about? Okay. So our goal, like, you can make all 3 goals business related. So let me go back. We're going back to here, defining 3 goals for the next 12 weeks. You can make all 3 goals business related. However, the book does not suggest that, and I don't suggest that. I suggest you take the one goal of how many contracts I'm going to execute for your 12 weeks, and then you use the tactics by which to achieve that goal. That's where you're really breaking it out. I wouldn't go more than 3 tactics for the goal, but you could do 4 or 5. It's, you know, it's up to you. But what we've learned and what the experts say is if we get too spread too thin, then we're not good at anything and we don't do anything well, right? It's like the whole multitasking thing. Nobody can multitask well. We have to be focused on something and do it well. and be consistent with it. The key to this is like, it's going to help us be consistent and hold us accountable. And so I don't care what your goal is. I don't care how many tactics you have to achieve that goal. And I don't care what your tasks are. Like that's up to you to define. But if you guys need help defining those, like I can stick around today and we can keep talking and help you get clear on that. Or you and I can do a one-on-one on that. Like that part I'm not worried about. But starting next week, like on Sunday night, we want this lined up so that on Monday we talk about, you're going to report in what is your goal for the 12 weeks, what are your tactics, and then we'll answer any other questions. And then the following week, we're going to start reporting in our percentage of completion on those tasks for those tactics. Does that make sense? Does that help? And Iris, for you, since you missed the company meeting in December, it's recorded, so you may want to watch it. It may help you a little bit more, but it's pretty much what I'm going over, right?
So those executed 3 contracts that you have for yourself, that's just the minimum that you're giving yourself as a goal just for the 12 weeks.
So, right, this is just an example that I just made up of Agent Fred Smith. He wants to close 12 in the year. So for the first 12 weeks, he's got to get 3 closed or 3 executed. Don't do closed, do executed. But that number of contracts can be whatever you want it to be. And then you're going to think about, how am I going to execute those contracts? Where should my business be coming from? And for all of you, one of the tactics should be database. Another one should be social media, but I won't force that on you. And then the third tactic could be open houses. It could be farming. It could be internet leads. It could be door knocking. It could be cold calling, circle dialing. There's a million different pillars. And in the meeting that we went over in December, I showed you guys, and I have it on the portal actually. I showed you a list of where all the business can come from. So so we talked about the Tom Ferry business plan and the Realty One business plan. No, let me think about this. So if you haven't had time, do your vision board first. But then if you haven't done it, there's the Tom Ferry business plan and the Realty One business plan. These are humongous plans to work through. They take into account like your marketing efforts, budgeting, finances, the whole 9 yards. It's intense. And so what I said at the beginning of December was use the month of December to work through that plan. And then at the end of that plan, you should have an idea of how many contracts I want to execute in 2024. And then we're breaking that down into bite-sized 12-week chunks. And I want us to take the total number of what I want to execute and divide it by 4 equally. What we tend to do in real estate, say, oh, real estate's seasonal, so I'm going to give the first quarter a smaller number than the second and the third quarter. I want the second and third quarter bumps to be bonuses, but we're still achieving the minimum requirement of your goal. Does that make sense? Because for the last 3 years, our market hasn't necessarily been that seasonal. It's been really weird. And I don't want to bank on a seasonality that may or may not come. So if the seasonality comes and we get the spurt, then great. But we're still going to execute and get so many homes under contract in this first 12 weeks. Does that make sense? So my point of pulling this up though was to show you guys in here. These are tactics to consider. And this is under the portal, under business basics for December's company meeting. So absentee owners, agent to agent referrals, blogging, builders, buyer seminars, CBAs, attorneys, direct mail expires farm. Like there's a million different I used to call them pillars. I call them pillars, but there's a million different pillars that you can pick from. But I'm saying for the next 12 weeks, we're only going to focus on 3 pillars. We're only going to get really good and deep at 3. And once we get those automated and going, then maybe in the next 12 weeks, that'll free up some time and then we can add in a 4th. But we don't want to be doing 10 pillars because we're not doing them well yet. Unless you're a team who's got assistants and the assistants are running them for you. Does that make sense? Does that help you, Harvey?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Yep.
Hey, Carlin.
On the roundtables, are we doing the same thing, like the same concept? Because I know we have to turn in points at a roundtable.
So the rule is, I changed the rules at the end of the year. If you've closed at least 2 contracts with me in the mentor program, you no longer have to attend roundtables. You can do this instead.
Okay.
You can do both if you want. If you're doing roundtable and you're doing this, and you can at roundtable say I'm doing this, and I'll know that, and I won't be worried about the points on roundtable.
Okay.
But if you haven't closed the 2, you're still coming to roundtable. If you're doing this, you'll just say these points instead of those points. It's totally up.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Good question.
Where is the which location is the round table at now? And then have you found a new location?
So I threw out the weekly OneNote this morning. It was a day late. I was supposed to send it yesterday. I apologize. So in the OneNote I mentioned, right now there is no roundtable this week or next week. This week I gave you a homework assignment to email me to get credit. Next week is our company meeting on Thursday. It's normally on Wednesdays, but it has to be on Thursday next week. So instead of roundtable, you're going to the company meeting or watching it on Zoom. The company meeting's at Independence Title in Buda. So then the following week on the 18th, I think, we'll do roundtable in Buda. And the calendar says roundtable in Buda for all of them, but we'll be adding in the North locations. I'm finalizing like what dates we can be available where. So in the next week or so, hopefully by the company meeting, I'll have official for you where all the roundtables will be.
Okay, but you did get to find a new location up north?
We don't have the office location yet. We've got like a couple bigger training rooms and conference rooms available for us to use, that we will be using for roundtables, but we're not signing a lease on an office space for probably another 30, 60 days. I want to make sure that this market, like I'm sensing that things are getting better and picking up in the market, that I'm just really hesitant to go sign a big lease and spend money until I know things really are getting better. So
then it'll be okay if we do the roundtables on Zoom, right?
we're not doing roundtables on Zoom, but like this month, if you do the email homework that I sent in the email this morning on OneNote, and you do company meeting next week, then you don't have to do a roundtable. Like you don't have to go to Buda the other 2 weeks. That covers your 2 requirements. So I'm giving you other ways to get around it instead of going to Buda. But by February, I'll have 2 North locations. What other questions do you guys have?
I have a question for the roundtables. If we haven't executed 2 contracts yet, for that scorecard, is it okay if we edit that?
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. My goal with, whether it's the points tracker or this, is to make sure you guys are spending your time on the right activities. That's the important thing, is that it's so easy to feel like you're really busy and had a really busy day, but at the end of the day, you didn't do anything that brought you leads in business. So if we're not having conversations with people that's going to result in business, then we're not going to have a paycheck in 90 days. And so my goal is to just bring it to the front of our minds. Like, these are the activities I have to do to get a paycheck. Am I doing them or not? Like, that's what matters. In the weekly accountability check-ins on Monday mornings at 9, we're not going to allow any excuses. The minute I hear the word but comes out of your mouth, it's an 86 but or it's a 45 but like we're cutting you off on the bets. There's no excuses. I don't care what the excuses. Like either we're making these activities the priority in our calendar every week and we're going to do them, or we're not. And after a couple of times of not, then we'll have the conversation of maybe I need to adjust my goals because I'm not going to do the work that's going to help me get those goals. And I don't care. There's no judgment for me. It's just, I want to help us get better, and this is what it's going to take to get better, if that makes sense. And for those of you that are brand new, like, this seems extreme probably, but it's going to help you set really good habits from the get-go. So I think it's a great idea. All right. What other questions do we have? Stomach is freaking out. I don't know why. Fucking noses. All right. Well, if there's no other questions, I will let you all be free. So the goal again is to get clear as to what my goals are, what your 3 goals are going to be, what your tactics are going to be for the goals. And then come, this weekend, you need a time block to set up what tasks are going to get done next week. Because on Monday, we're all going to report in what are our goals and what are our tasks look like for the next week. And then the following Monday, we'll start reporting in our percentage of completion. Okay. All right, guys. Good to see you all. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Carlin.
You're
Bye.
welcome. Bye.
I thank you.
You're welcome.